It's day 4 of the trip, and it's our cycle day. Unfortunately for us though, it's not the weather we'd hoped for.
Well, it's a lot wetter today. Unfortunately, it's our riding day. The hotel let us park our bikes under here overnight. Hopefully this guy didn't mind. But here they are. Oh, convenient light. Hello. We'll be back for you later. So we're gonna head off and get some breakfast and some food for the trip. Oh, it's pretty wet. You excited to ride?
I don't know.
Let's see. Water wheel. Mega is pretty fancy. It's a nice spot. Yeah.
After getting all the food we needed for the trip, we headed back to the hotel.
The next part of our morning was spent packing all of our cycling bags, making sure that everything had its right place, and finally checking out.
We have just checked out of the hotel across the road. Here is our pile of bags, and there's our bikes. And so the next step is to get everything onto the bikes. As you've seen, the weather's a bit average today, unfortunately, for our first day of the bike ride. But it's really convenient that the owner of the hotel has let us use this undercover area so we can pack everything up nice and dry.
We both have very similar bag setups on our bikes, with 2 rear Ortlieb panniers, a larger rack pack on the back, and a front bag on our front racks. I have an additional frame bag to keep things like chargers and trinkets in.
In addition, we have our drink bottles and feed bags on the handlebars, water bottles and holsters on the bikes, and strapped our Crocs and cups to the outside of the panniers.
We finally have the bikes packed up. Took us about an hour to get everything on, but they're looking really good. We're just going to get a few quick shots outside the hotel, and then we'll be on our way.
And just like that, we were off on our first day bike riding in Japan. The first stretch was a little challenging, riding on the footpath through the busy streets of Shibuya. We soon got the hang of it, avoiding pedestrians and other bicycles.
Our aim for this trip is to find as many bike paths and avoid as many main roads as possible, so it was lovely to find this stretch so soon after leaving the hotel.
But it wasn't too long until we were back on the road and also waiting for other means of transport.
It's like a little tram.
Unfortunately, by lunchtime, everything was very wet because of the rain, as you can see. Luckily, we found this gorgeous little traditional ramen shop where we could dry off, if briefly.
With our bellies full, we continued heading through the Tokyo suburbs towards the Tama River, which would lead us up towards our camp for the night. Our next challenge was this particularly steep descent down towards the river, which I had identified during planning, but hadn't quite considered heavy bikes and rain.
Although it doesn't look so steep on camera, it took me a few attempts to get the courage up to head down, and it was a bit surreal to see someone casually riding an e-bike up the other side.
We made it to the river! Finally, we're out of the city. Took us a bit longer than expected to get through that stretch of Tokyo, so now we're gonna have to put some serious speed on, get up this river, so we get to camp before it's night time.
While riding up the Tama River was the most direct route to our destination, I'll admit that in the rain it felt endless.
Our wet weather gear was doing great to keep the wind off, but we'd definitely soaked to the bones underneath. Along the river, we got the first glimpse of the many ways riverbeds are used in Japan. In this instance, a motorcycle training school.
How good! Face full of rain into a headwind. Warming up.
The rain kept coming down, and every drain we passed had a strong flow out towards the river. However, we took the opportunity under this bridge to get a dry break. Just like this baseball team.
At this point, we turned off from the river towards the town of Tama, and towards our intended goal of the day, a campsite on the bank of the Sagami River.
It was also here that we had the first GoPro handling mishap of the trip.
Over here.
As well as the GoPro, we were all feeling a bit grim by this point. Not even the cherry blossoms were out for us.
McDonald's?
It was such a relief to see the golden arches and know that there would be somewhere warm and dry that wouldn't mind us dripping too much on the tiles.
It was also at this point that we realised that our end goal was getting further away, considering the rain and the darkening skies. So we took this opportunity to look at other accommodation options for the night.
So the weather's pretty bad and we're losing light, so we spent some time in McDonald's looking for hotels in this area. We found one about 800 metres away, which we're going to try to ride to and basically pray that they'll have something available. And if they don't, we'll ask again, and then we'll ask again. And if they really, really don't, we'll probably have to ride another hour and a half to 2 hours to the campsite and hope that it doesn't rain anymore. And then set up our tent in the dark. So fingers crossed.
It seemed online that this and other hotels might have rooms available, but it did say that you had to phone to find out. Unfortunately, with no Japanese SIM card and an obvious language barrier, we had to take the uphill diversion ourselves to find out in person.
And then, after hearing the bad news from reception, it was back to Google Maps looking for more hotels.
So we tried Smile Hotel, did not work. So we're riding in the direction that we intended to finish tonight, but to find another hotel that apparently has bookings, rooms available online. It's going to take us about 45 minutes, and if we can't find anything there, then we'll just have to camp in a park nearby. So hopefully we find something.
At this point, the light was fading fast, and we were soaked to the bone and getting tired. So we stopped at a konbini to ask for help. The staff were very accommodating and phoned some hotels for us, as directed to online, but unfortunately no rooms were available.
It was quite frustrating knowing our intended campsite was only 10 k's away, and even though the rain had eased, it was just too far to go. However, This was a learning experience that Japanese hotels are difficult, if not impossible, to book on the same day. So, we were forced to camp after all.
You probably can't see a thing, but we found a nice spot in a park to set up a tent. Not our ideal scenario, but it is what it is. There's a toilet just over the way, so at least we'll have some amenities. And I guess we'll see what it looks like in the morning. So that was our first day cycling through Japan. It was a bit of a rough one. I think we got the worst of the weather, and now we can face anything. But let's get this tent set up and go to bed. See you in the morning.